So what I wanted to talk about today is letting go of the need to create safety. Really, it's a big theme that people get stuck in, I found in the healing space, when you've been dealing with chronic symptoms, chronic pain, nervous system challenges, dysregulation. There's a lot of talk about safety, and it's understandable. There's a truth in it. There's a point that's being made there. But I want to make a different point here, because with anything, you can take things too far, where it might be true to a certain perspective, but you can very much get stuck in it. And I see a lot of people getting stuck in the safety-seeking mode. I had a session with somebody yesterday, and this was exactly what we explored. There's this program that really takes over, which is like, I need to make sure that I don't trigger symptoms, I don't trigger a crash, I don't put myself in situations that make the nervous system feel unsafe. And as I said, there's a phase for that, and there's a time for that, and I'm not saying that that's wrong, but with anything, making the opposite point is necessary, because and I see it a lot, that people get stuck in too much of that mode. So the point I want to make here is that at some point you have to let go of that. That you have to expose yourself to things that make you feel alive. And you do that by going into things that you don't know what the outcome will be. Life will bring you opportunities, and you will not feel ready for them. And it might trigger things. It might trigger a supposed crash or a flare-up. I'm not really interested in using such words myself, but people do, so that's fine. And that's fine, but that's where aliveness is. That's what you want to get back to, is the aliveness of doing things that you don't know where it's going to take you. You don't know if you're ready for it. If you're waiting to be ready, you're going to wait forever. I've had some of the best experiences of my life recently traveling. I'm now on the island of Koh Phangan. It's raining here. And it was a wild journey getting here. I started up north, and I spoke a bit about it in my previous video. And then, the pollution was hectic. And then coming on the trains, it was like 2-3 days of travel, and I got sick and blah, blah, blah. Right? It was a lot for this nervous system to process. But at the same time, rest comes at some point. It was a lot for a couple of days, but at some point rest comes, and I've never felt more alive than this complete immersion into the unknown. Not knowing where I'm going to sleep, where am I going to base myself to make money, to support myself. All of these things can still play out in the mind. It's triggered lots of fears and doubts in me. But I've also never felt more alive than doing this, right? Throwing myself into this. And again, rest comes. Life will support you. But you have to be willing to jump before you feel ready. Right? It's like you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you don't have any wings yet. So you're literally jumping. You're throwing yourself off the edge of the cliff, and you'll fall for a while. And then at some point, you'll start to grow wings while you're falling, but it still feels like you're going to fucking hit the ground and die. But that's the only way you grow wings. You don't grow wings by standing on the top of the edge of the cliff. You don't grow wings before you jump. You have to jump. You have to fall. You have to feel like you're going to die. And then you'll grow wings. And you don't feel ready. You don't have the wings yet. You jump. And I must give credit to Leonard Lowe. I recently read his book Jump, and he used this kind of analogy. So I'm putting a little bit in my own words, but I don't want to plagiarize, because it was from he wrote a poem about this, and I want to give credit where credit is due. So That's important. But it's so true. Like, it's so fucking true. And that's what I've been doing more. And it's exactly what I want to point to more, sharing with people, right? Yes, there's a time for allowing. There's a time for softness. There's a time for giving yourself space to rest and recuperate. But these nervous systems are actually very adaptable. But you can't see it if you don't give it the chance. If you don't throw it into something that might be triggering, that might feel uncomfortable, if you don't give it the chance, then your nervous system will believe that it's not safe to do things, right? You have to prove that it is safe to do things by doing things that feel unsafe, right? Just hear that again. You have to prove safety, not by trying to create a safe environment. Again, there's a time for that. That's a different point. That's not the point I'm making here. Somebody else can make that point. I've probably made that point previously, but that's not what I'm talking about here. You have to prove to the nervous system that it is safe. And you do this, it's like subconscious. It's like by doing something that feels unsafe and still doing it, what message are you sending to yourself? You're saying that something in me says this is unsafe, but I'm not going to listen to that. And instead, I'm going to do it anyways. And then you're reprogramming it at a subconscious level, but through action. You're not reprogramming it only through sitting and doing whatever reprogramming you do. Reprogramming through action is really powerful. That's what I'm trying to get across here. And what action to take? Well, there's no perfect answer, but action that excites you, action that feels aligned. It doesn't have to be going back to your old life. It doesn't have to be like, so I'm getting healthy again so I can start to do those things that I used to do. You can, if that's really what you want to do, then follow that, right? It's very personalized to your own excitement, to your own passion, your own journey. But action, so again, I was speaking with this client yesterday and we were talking about like exiting the safety zone, and he's in a great space starting to do that more and more. And one of the things he did was like, he didn't feel ready to go to like a live restorative yoga practice or class. So that's a step into something that seems unsafe, but at the same time, it's aligned. It's going to give him something, and it did, right? It triggered things and blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to use that as an example for the type of action that you can take, right? It doesn't mean you have to go and sit at a bar and drink beers with your old friends who don't really align with you anymore. Again, if that's really what you want to do, I've done that multiple times, and then it helps me to like go in a different direction where it's like, okay, the old suit doesn't fit anymore. You try it on to see that it doesn't fit anymore, and it's fine. There's a lesson in that as well. That's what pushes you onto a more authentic path. But yeah, it's like this authentic excitement and passion. I can't tell you exactly what the action is going to be for you. That's for you. That's the beauty of it. The beauty of it, there's no answer outside of yourself that you need to receive. That's why I can't give you an answer, and it's so cool, because the answer is specific to you. People hate this, but that's because they're seeking for me to give them something which they can only get from themselves. So you have to feel into yourself. What do you want to do? And again, life will give you pointers. I always like to bring this back to concrete examples. Example in my own life, don't hold this tightly that it has to be your life. It's an example from my life. Is I was at home in South Africa, feeling restless, feeling dissatisfied. I was still moving around, trying to do things. I went to a coffee shop. I picked up a book about traveling. It really lit something up inside of me. I booked a flight. I did not feel ready. I've spoken a little bit about this in my other videos, but this was it, right? Life gave me a pointer. It was like a nudge. It was like, here, read this book. I just picked it off the bookshelf. I don't know why exactly. I just picked it off. I looked at the back. I was like, I want to read this book. I bought it. I read it. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I was in Thailand at some of the places in the book, and I want to keep traveling. So that's the concrete example, right? For you, it might be, I don't know, doing something different. Be open to the nudges. As soon as you put out an intention, life will respond. but it might not give you, it's not going to give you like a fucking envelope at your door saying, hey, XYZ, this is what you must do now, and I can tell you exactly how it's going to play out. And no, it's not like that. It's like very subtle, because all the growth is in the not knowing, in the entering the not readiness, finding clarity in the murkiness, right? Even as I'm traveling, I'm still so confused. Where am I going to go next? I was booking an apartment to stay in for a month. Then I felt like it doesn't really align. I'm looking at something else. It's not clear. It's murky. But at the same time, if I just trust and I remain open, there's no wrong choice. There's just different outcomes, right? So I could choose to stay here. I could choose to stay there. I could choose to do that. I could choose to do that. I'll learn from any experience. So same for you, right? You could go out and do something and you didn't feel ready for it. Okay, that's fine. Everything's an opportunity. Nothing can go wrong. So drop this idea of, oh no, I triggered this. Now my nervous system's in this state and I need to get it back into that state. Throw that out of the fucking window, please. Again, I'm being direct here, but that's what this video is calling. I never know what I'm going to say. I just flow with what comes through. So drop it, right? If you don't like this directness, then this video is not for you. But it will find who it's meant to find. And if it triggers you, that's good. The triggeredness is, it means it's hitting on something that doesn't feel ready. It's hitting on the belief that's saying, no, that's not safe. So see it. Let these words stir the shit up. Let it stir the shit up. It's here to break down your worldview, right? Your worldview is like, I am going to start doing things when I'm ready, when I'm safe. I'm going to get, there's no baseline to get to. Somebody's commented on I was speaking with somebody and they made the point of, we're talking about insomnia, and I was traveling and I was like, hey, look, your body can handle insomnia. I've had like minimal sleep for the last 2 nights. And then they were like, oh yeah, but you're healthy. That's so nice to be able to do that when you're healthy. I don't see it that way. It's like, it still brings up a lot. It doesn't feel great. It brings up fears of like, oh no, is this healthy too? But I just don't believe that. And it's taken me time to get there, but I want to make that point of stop waiting for a baseline. That's where I need to get to, right? The stuff Kyle's doing, he can only do because of whatever. Sure, we're all on our different paths, and it's going to be relevant to where you are on your path. I'm not saying you have to do what I'm doing, but that's such an easy excuse that I'm making this point because I want to close off that pathway. Don't go down that pathway of, but not for me, right? But what? As I said, this is a more triggering energy that's coming through in this video. So take it as you wish to, but that's what I'm feeling called to share. So let the aliveness flow through. You find aliveness by going into this unknown flow where you do things. You don't find aliveness in planning and controlling and being in charge of what happens next. That is suffocating. Aliveness is, oh, maybe I should do this. Oh, I don't think I can. Oof. I'm afraid. Oof, there's a million things saying don't do it. You're gonna die at some point. Like honestly. And then when you're dead, at the end of this life, do you want to be like, I really preserved this body perfectly for as long as possible? Again, I know we can get overwhelmed. I know we can push ourselves too hard, but that point is made. So this is not, take it in context with that point. Give yourself rest, give yourself nurturing, all of that, right? I know, like, you can push yourself too hard. I push myself hard, but at the same time, as I said, all this traveling, it worked out. I got really sick. I was not sleeping. It worked out. I was eating like shit. I didn't feel good. I knew I needed a break eventually, but it worked out. Again, because at some point I'm going to die. So it's like, do I want to just be perfectly safe my entire life? It might sound like an extreme point, but it's actually really powerful to say, if I was at the end of my life, right? Let's say, just imagine it, you're at your deathbed, because that's where we're all headed, right? Unless something changes in the next 50 years. So far, based on the evidence, that's where we're all headed. 50 years is a long time. It depends where you are on your journey. I'm saying for me. But imagine you're at the end of your life, and you're like, damn, am I glad that I said no to all of those things and stayed in the safe zone? Or like, I wish I just dipped my toe in and see where it led. Dip your toe in, right? This is a little bit of a softer energy now. I've hammered on the triggering stuff. Dip your toe in. Start somewhere. You can do this. But do dip your toe in. Stand at the edge of the pool. But actually dip your toe in. Don't just stand at the edge of the pool. Right. And then your ankle. And then your knee. But start with your toe. Start with something small. But do it. Action. It's funny how the energy really aligns with the different times with astrology. Like last month was so much gentler, whereas now it's all a lot more action oriented. That's just what's flowing through. Again, I just let what feels right come forward, and it's interesting to observe. For me, the message that's coming through is very different to last month, where the message was very total okayness. But now it's more action oriented. It was playing out in my life, and it's what I'm sharing. So take action. Take inspired action. Don't put pressure on yourself, but do allow it. Allow action to happen. Don't suppress it. Don't suppress the masculine energy. Allow the feminine and the receiving, but don't suppress the masculine that wants to take action. And you all have it. I'm not talking about male and female. I'm talking about the energy that's in both, in everyone, masculine and feminine. I'm a guy, but I have very strong feminine energy of acceptance, surrender. But if you suppress the masculine, which is action, the healthy masculine, the immature masculine is control, like real control, management. The healthy masculine is inspired action. And then they work together. It's action and surrender, and just letting it all flow, but not suppressing the flow. Let the flow through you. It's going to feel uncomfortable if you try to block the flow. Okay, that's what I got for you today. Good luck. You got this. Go do some shit you're not ready for. And here's the nice rain on the island of Koh Phangan. Ciao.